So I started working with BAFTA. The first time I ever shot it was 2005, and it was a commission for British GQ magazine. And I'd already worked in the film industry for 8 years by then, and knew quite a few people, knew quite a lot of the talent. And my first ever BAFTA, 2005, we are at the Odeon, Leicester Square, where BAFTA used to happen, and the backstage bit was literally outside. There's like a stage door to the Odeon, and that's where we'd sort of base, and people would come off the stage straight out of the stage door, and there was this sort of back section where they would everyone would get together, people would smoke cigarettes, people would chat, people would do all their stuff, and it was just brilliant for photos. So I did this story for British GQ. I suppose started something with BAFTA that has now gone on for 20 years. When I look back at the photos that I was taking, you see a real change in the sort of way that I work. And I think when I started this, BAFTA was my first ever award show. I look at myself as sort of quite new to that world of awards, I suppose, at that time. You'll see that there's very few pictures with any eye contact. And even though, I'd worked, certainly Kate Blanchett, Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan, a lot of people that I'd worked with a great deal, I'm still reserved and I'm observing. I'm definitely hiding behind my camera, and I suppose, being more of a traditional reportage photographer, where I'm capturing moments that I observe. You'll see in there's a picture of DiCaprio sitting behind Martin Scorsese on their leopard print sofas at the Odeon, which I love because it feels like, it just feels like you're at the cinema with them, which of course you are, but there's something about having them in those seats that makes it something special. I love some of the pictures. I love the one of Leo DiCaprio waving to the crowds. I love the one of Goldie Hawn walking past. The picture from behind Juliette Lewis with the flashes going off. It was a camera I was using back then, that the sensor, when you fired a flash straight at the sensor, it would turn into a star. So it was almost like one of those old starburst filters. Literally only in the last 3 or 4 years, it's sort of cemented itself. The style has cemented itself really into very much a sort of a look through the eyes into the talent that I shoot. And what happened is, over the course of 15 years really, as my relationships with the talent built and my confidence built, I started photographing the interactions between the actors and me behind the camera, and started to create a very different kind of picture, a real sort of first person immediate interaction with the subjects, and the audience, the people that were looking at the pictures, started to comment how they really felt they were there, how they felt that they could see something in that direct view into the eyes of the actors that they don't get from those more observational photos. Probably my favourite photo or moment from that first BAFTAs, though, is the picture of Clive Owen. You got Daniel Craig talking to Kate Blanchett on the right, and then on the left you got Clive, and he's sort of looking up with his eyes going, cool, not bad, to someone out of camera. And I suppose it's just a really authentic moment I think I always looked at that picture and went, oh yeah, that was probably the best thing I got out of that year. Something about this BAFTA collection really, I suppose, shows a development in my own work as a photographer, all the way up to when you look at the pictures from last year, from 2023. It was interesting. We edited these last 20 years, and last year's pictures, there were literally 7 I left out, because nearly all of them was on point, because I suppose I've got this shorthand down now. I've got this way of, a mixture of having the relationships, and even when I don't, understanding how to get the sort of picture I want, and get a reaction out of people. That's often by looking over the camera, smiling, talking to people as we're going. Often I pull silly faces, make a bit of an arse of myself, to be honest, but get these reactions out of people. And I suppose after 20 years, it's morphed into its own thing. One thing about the BAFTAs that I think is different to the other award shows, the American award shows, it's something about being in England and the fact that the red carpet happens at dusk. You know, the Globes and the Oscars, those carpets all happen during daylight. There's something in a nighttime red carpet where I can give you a number of examples where the pictures just feel so much like the sort of a heyday of Hollywood. They feel like you'd have imagined those old premieres in 1920s and 1930s outside the Man's Chinese. And yet it's here in England, this glamour. I suppose to me it just sort of becomes a bit more ethereal, and sort of the romantic notion of Hollywood that I get when I look at those shots done at night. Eddie Marzan on the red carpet with his little boy shaking my hand. Rami Malek having won Best Actor for his portrayal of Freddie Mercury, with Margot Robbie sort of, who'd given him the award, sort of hugging him and congratulating him, and you just feel this lovely sort of radiant warmth from them both in the pictures. That picture and the Olivia Colman and Gary Oldman picture were both used as adverts on the undergrounds in London for the BAFTA Awards. Taika Waititi giving me a fist bump. Leia Seydoux playful and out of focus to the lens. Benedict Cumberbatch, who'd been sort of presented with a surprise cake with his likeness on it. Austin Butler looking suave, just sort of chilling against a wall holding his BAFTA for Elvis. Anya Taylor-Joy in her Victor and Ralph dress in the elevator. Pierce Brosnan toking on the cigarette. I'd worked with Pierce Brosnan on Die Another Day and got to know him well. So there's a moment where he's putting on a cigarette and it was absolutely sort of set up for me by him, or I say set up, happened in a split second, but was absolutely given to me by Pierce. I never photograph the BAFTA dinners anymore. I'm always, I suppose, trying to get all my edits out and stuff, but back then I did, and I love this picture because it just feels like how you'd imagine a Hollywood event would have been in the 1950s. It's just so glamorous, and I absolutely love it. I love this photo of Sam Riley and his, I think, girlfriend or wife at the time, Alexandra Maria Lara. I suppose a really tender moment where he's kissing her hand and it's on the red carpet, and it was this kind of beautiful moment. And I really remember when I took it, where it was like, you've got all the madness and it's such a public display, and then there was just this beautifully intimate moment, and I happened to just be so close to them, sort of mistakenly close, where you get such an intimate picture, and it's such a lovely photo of the kind of unity of them in the middle of the madness. So what's happened, I suppose, is that I've got to this point where the way I work, I often don't even look through my camera. So if I'm on the carpet, I tend to put the camera just below my eyes so that it's sort of at the height that they can just see me over the camera, like I am here. And I'm just getting these reactions. People are going, wow, they're going, hey, they're giving me fist bumps, they're laughing at me, they're looking straight into me, but I'm in this very close environment. Or nearly every picture I take at an award show will happen between 0.7 of a metre and 2 metres. And so there's this sort of direct interaction with my subjects, and that's what gets these pictures where you sort of see the sort of twinkle in their eye and you see a connection between them and the photographer and me. One of my favourite pictures from the auditorium of BAFTA was the one of Meryl Streep, and I think it's just because she gives me such a sort of beautifully honest smile. You don't feel there's any artifice in it at all, and I suppose it just feels authentic and warm, and she just looks like a really caring, lovely woman. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, they were sitting in the front row at the Royal Opera House. I love the picture, I love all the other people you can see in the background. Kate Winslet high-fiving Jerry Judge. Jerry's a very much loved bodyguard. I got to know Jerry well working with Johnny Depp, who he looked after for many, many years, and Jerry is dearly missed by the whole community. The shot of Natasha McElhone, this was at the Royal Opera House, and to me it really feels like a photo from another era altogether. She looks like something from the 50s, and yeah, it's a picture I love. In 2016, I photographed Dakota Johnson getting ready at the Claridge's Hotel, and got this lovely set of pictures of her getting ready, and then went in the car with her to the red carpet. And I think that was the first time I've done that. I've since travelled to the awards with talent many times, but that was the first time I'd done that, and love that picture of her in the back of the car. Numi Rapace with her black hair, amazing fringe, and her fur coat. From memory, she also had nails in her gloves like a cat. She was like a feline 1930s Hollywood muse. People often ask me why I shoot in black and white, and I don't just shoot in black and white. I shoot plenty of colour pictures and colour stories. But there is something about how I do like to present Hollywood in black and white, and there's something about these award shows, and certainly the BAFTAs, and certainly there's something about the red carpet being nighttime and the way they're lit, and the fact that often people have to turn up with overcoats or with, fake fur coats as they would be now, or I don't know, there's just something about it that feels so old school Hollywood that I don't particularly want to see that in colour. I want to see it like those classic old Hollywood pictures. There's something about the industry that in many ways hasn't changed, and movie stars in tuxedos and in ball gowns, are very reminiscent of movie stars in tuxedos and ball gowns 50 years ago. So anyway, that's why I shoot in black and white. The equipment I use is very simple. When I'm on the red carpet, I ditch my long lens portrait camera, and I just have two of these little Leica Q cameras which have got a fixed 28mm lens on them. And then when it's so dark that I can no longer shoot in any ambient light, which is generally when I'm backstage waiting for winners to come off, I use a tiny little flash. There's a little Fuji flash that I put on my camera, which is so small that it means it's incredibly close to the lens. This means you get this very sharp chin shadow, which basically people are fantastic in. Over 20 years, I've built some really sort of proper friendships within BAFTA, and I suppose we've all got such a shorthand together now of how we work, that it's something that I know I'm going to look back on as a real privilege.